Thanks to Pulsar Modular for sponsoring this video. Imagine an escape game, like an escape room game, but it's online and it's organized by your favorite band. It starts with a mystery, and to solve it, you have to work as a team with all the fans around the world. That's what the band 9 Inch Nails did in 2007 for the release of their concept album Year Zero. They created an immersive experience where the players could become the heroes of a dystopian future and become the resistance against the totalitarian government. It's pretty cool, and it's all about the experience given to the fans, as the frontman of the band said during the event. What you are now starting to experience is Year Zero. It is the art form. The fascinating thing is that today it's hard to find how this experience was like. It's used at a Flash, which is not supported anymore, so you can't redo the game today. And worse than that, the websites used during the game are now all offline, so the story is slowly disappearing from the internet. And I find it crazy that this fascinating piece of art remains relatively unknown if you're not a 9 Inch Nails fan, whereas you don't need to know or even to like 9 Inch Nails to appreciate it. So, before this story is lost forever, this is the Year Zero experience. You are in the year 2007, Facebook and YouTube are just getting started, the first iPhone is not out yet, and 9 Inch Nails starts their European tour with these dates. And right away, fans noticed something peculiar on the t-shirts of this tour. Some letters were highlighted, and when you put those highlighted letters side by side, they formed the phrase "I am trying to believe." You realize this links to a website called IamTryingToBelieve.com, which has an old glitchy design and is apparently written from the future, a pretty dystopian future. First, you learn about the present, the apparition of a hand-like shape coming from the sky, cited by many people. Then you learn about a drug called paraffin.
Paraffin affects brain chemistry, specifically dopamines. Dopaminergic overactivity is linked to schizophrenia. Paraffin dosage is not controlled, it's just in the water.
The author of the website states that the sightings of the presence could be a mass psychosis induced by the paraffin. On the second page, you learn that paraffin has been added to the water by the US government. It was introduced as an immune system booster to prevent bioterrorism, as a response to a biological attack in Los Angeles. The third page talks about the use of paraffin and its possible side effects. The author of the website has stopped taking paraffin about 2 months ago.
It's a feeling of clarity, your thoughts are clear and ordered, and you begin to have ambitions to see more, hear more, do more. I just feel awake.
There is also this article dated from the year zero, and you notice there is a fainted copy of it displaced to the left, and this copy shows the date of 2022. You almost missed that, but now you know year zero happened 15 years in the future. The last page tells you how the author came to avoid paraffin and raises the question, what if paraffin isn't the antidote but the disease? What if paraffin is bioterrorism? And then is an email address to contact the author. Naturally, you try to write to this email address, because why the hell not? And all you get back is this automated email.
It is now clear to me that paraffin is a completely safe and effective agent developed to protect us from bioterrorism. The administration is acting purely in the best interests of its citizens. To suggest otherwise was irresponsible, and I deeply regret it. I'm drinking the water, so should you.
Wow, that's strange. But where do you go from here? You go back and notice some codes in the background of the website, 24.14.3. There's also one on the t-shirt, 24.14.1, and you find another by counting the dashes in the email, 24, 14, and 2. And these codes lead you to nothing for now, but better write them down as we'll see a lot more of them. For now, you have another trail to follow, because something else happened in Lisbon. On the last date in Lisbon, a USB key is found in the men's bathroom during the 9 Inch Nails concert. On this USB key is a file called myviolentheart.mp3. This is the first leaked song from the yet-to-be-released album Year Zero, and at the end of the track, some kind of white noise can be heard. This file was quickly shared through fan forums, and it turned out that this noise, when analyzed with a spectrogram that shows the frequency content of a sound, revealed an image of the presence. Looking at the property of the MP3 file, you find this, another version of the truth.com. So this is your next stop. You are greeted with an idyllic picture of an American farm. America is born again, labeled by the US Bureau of Morality. If you scratch the image with your mouth, you can reveal another version of this website, another version of the truth. Clicking on this title leads you to this forum with several threads, all posted in the year zero. The first thread is a discussion between people who saw the presence, and it seems that some people have seen it without being on paraffin.
I'm off paraffin. I don't use or abuse, but I saw it. Whatever it is coming.
The second thread talks about a terrorist attack that happened during a baseball game. A user shares a website about resistance. You have a lead, we'll check it in a bit. The third one is called Cops Murder Muslim Kid and contains an audio recording of a SWAT raid that seems to give another version of what was told on the news.
Say it now, say it again, say what you said! Look! The fucking Sunday school straggler went to the church of Plano, nobody arrested his...
He didn't do anything!
Then the recording ends with this. If you're thinking Morse code, you're right. This is Morse code for 24.10.1. The fourth thread starts with another recording of a scary man performing a terrorist attack. The terrorist attack during the baseball game.
Step 2. Deliver the message. Used to be a sniper, 105th Airborne Crusaders. Amen.
Also, the recording ends with this. Fifth thread is about a new drug called Opal. There's also an audio recording here where basically Colombians say global warming stopped the traffic of coca and the new cartel is American. Opal replaced everything. And the recording ends with another sequence. Someone in the thread also posted,
"Check out the inbox of no one important over on Consolidated mail systems. Looks like someone left the door wide open."
That's your second lead. That's a lot of info from only one website, and looking at the code numbers, we may still be missing a couple more. Right now, the hottest trail you have is the website Be the Hammer, so let's see where that leads.
Government of the United States is at war with you. I know because I was them. I was the guy who broke down your door at 4 a.m. and did things to you with pliers until we knew the names of your friends. I kill people, so should you.
Wow, you're here for a ride.
I believed what they told me. Join the 105th.
Huh, like the 105th Airborne Crusaders. So that's the guy who did the terrorist attack at the baseball game.
The hairpin makes us compliant, but kills aggression. Different soldiers get different pills to put it back. Red pills erase the line between killing and fucking. Some of the damage is permanent.
Then he describes an operation he did as a member of the Airborne Crusaders, where he swept 47 houses in one night. The guy really did kill a lot of people while on duty, and it seems like he never really came back from it. The rest of the website is pretty much a tutorial on how to plan a terrorist attack. A scary, scary person. This was kind of a chilling website. You don't have a lot of trails to follow from here, but the guy mentioned the 105th Airborne Crusaders twice, so you decide to check if there's a website for that. And there is.
The proudest unit in the service of protecting and policing God's green earth.
Killing for God. Yeah, they're Crusaders. On the history page, you learn that it was created in response to the atrocities of Los Angeles 13 years before the administration. 13 years before the Year Zero, that would be 2009. The rest of the website describes mission in civil wars, and the whole thing is written with a lot of religious references.
Our faith became the sword instead of just the shield. Private Shula was killed that day, taken by the enemies of Jesus Christ. Squad fought harder, and God held their rifles true.
They are fanaticals, but that also hints that the government has gone in some holy war, and thus the church and the government has become one entity. At this point, you don't find any other trail to follow on this website, so you decide to check your other lead. Check out the inbox of no one important over on Consolidated mail systems. It looks like a generic landing page, and you notice the URL says Citizen Unknown in place where a username could go. And sure enough, when you replace that with no one important, you arrive on this email box. You try to go in the inbox and the outbox, but you are stopped each time with this message.
Warning code 24.10.4. You are not the citizen assigned to this account. Authorities will be in contact shortly for appropriate re-education.
Are we in trouble? The email says, Angry Sniper sent you this message. That seems to be the shooter from the previous website. It looks like a note sent to police officers then stolen from a cop. It is all about the Opal drug. It comes as a black liquid, mostly injected, but sometimes dropped in the eyeball, which turns it black, and it gives a quasi-religious experience.
They felt the presence of a larger being.
holding them accountable for the sins of humanity against the planet.
That sounds a lot like the experience people described of the presence. You can even see a drawing of the presence here on this paper. You'll probably know more soon because a last website just got discovered. Nine Inch Nails fans are very dedicated, and they decided to use a technique called reverse DNS, which allows to find websites from an IP address. That's how they found the website Church of Plano, which had an IP close to the website you already found. We saw the point of view of people working for the government who were very religious, but this is the other side of the medal, the point of view from the religion. So what is this church like?
Morning sermon. Whoever resists the authority resists God. Evening sermon. He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked.
They are very in line with what we saw in the Airborne Crusaders website. This wasn't an isolated group. I mean, look at their logo. They have a neighborhood cleansing program to put your faith into action. That's some scary shit. Another USB drive is found in the woman's bathroom during a concert. On it are two MP3 files, another track from the upcoming album, Me I'm Not, and a file called 2432.mp3. That looks like the code 24.3.2 that we already had from the previous key. This MP3 was just static noise that resembled crickets. But now you know what to do with static noise. You put it in a spectrogram, and that revealed a phone number. By calling this number, you could hear a disturbing recorded message.
U.S. wiretap. Case identifier 71839J. File accessed.
Robbie, are you there? Me? This guy, he came into the club really freaked out. We didn't even see the knife. It sure was so fresh. He wouldn't stop until somebody killed him with beer bottle. I'm gonna call the cops right now, okay? No, the cops are already here. They're the ones that locked us in. What? Robbie, there's blood coming out of my spit. Mia? Listen, Robin, I need you to take care of my dog, okay? The food is...
The recording apparently came from the US wiretap, so you decide to check that out to know more. Apart from a code here and another mention of the Bureau of Morality, it doesn't seem to be much here, but the URL says number required, so you put the case number you heard on the recording. This takes you to an incident report from the police sergeant Jeff Slansky. The comment written about Slansky seems out of place.
Converted from Catholic to New Evangelical. Conversion probably pragmatically motivated with eye to career advancement.
So the report is an interview between Sergeant Slansky and a federal agent named Claire Sykes.
I got a 10 to 48 to the Star Chamber, so I got there as fast as I could.
Star Chamber, which is a nightclub.
It's just a place. Sometimes people get together there.
There were 112 people locked in an underground nightclub you permitted to operate in your district. Curiously, your districts also consistently underreport violations of the Freedom Act, criminal speech, negligent morale, that sort of thing. Could you hear anything?
Screaming and yelling. People beating on the doors, but the feds had already padlocked all the doors.
By feds you mean people like me?
Yes.
2 days later you were called back to the scene. Describe what happened then.
Crowd control again. A bunch of guys in bunny suits went into the building with some very serious equipment. Flamethrowers and shit.
The other agent wasn't quite like me.
I just opened the car door for Christ's sake. She smelled strange. Coppery. She was crying.
But that wasn't the strange part.
And her tears were orange. I didn't mean to see that.
I know. And I'm sorry.
During a concert in Paris, a red flyer is passed out. This flyer naturally leads the fans to artistresistance.com. After a few seconds on the site, you get this pop-up.
By viewing this site, you are in direct violation of the Federal Orderly Conduct Act Section 24.13.1. The perpetrator of this site has been imprisoned. Continuing to view this material will result in the loss of citizenship increments.
A social credit system.
Remember, freedom is a privilege, not a right.
The website is pretty short and there is a link to download tools to spread the resistance. Stickers, posters, stencils. A new kind of resistance is taking place, and this one seems kind of peaceful. A Around the same time, few clues were rapidly released by the band. A new tour t-shirt with highlighted numbers gave a phone number. Upon calling it, you hear a recording in which you learn 3 elections have been banned.
Listen, people, I know you're out there and you're angry, but you're scared of going to jail. Here's the bad news. The prison came to you, my friend. The bars are all around you.
A third USB key was found at a concert, which contained an image. That led to HollywoodInMemoriam.com, on which you learn more about the attack on Los Angeles, the biological attack that started it all. It happened in 2009 during the 81st Academy Award ceremony. It started with a bomb there, and then was followed by several other dirty bombs in the city. And lastly, Nine Inch Nails released a new Blu-ray of a live concert called Beside You in Time. You see some photos of the booklet on a fan forum, and it's hard to see, but the dots on some pages seem to form some words: solutions, backward, and initiative. You decide to try a visit to solutionsbackwardinitiative.com, and you are immediately redirected to a website called Secure Broadcast Informatics.
We develop innovative solutions to ultra-secure communications. Our unique retrocausal systems effectively eliminate errors, interference, or eavesdropping before they happen.
So they are messing with time somehow? At the bottom of the page, you find,
"Please send your inquiry to Francisco at securebroadcastinformatics.com."
So you try and send an email, and you receive this.
As I write this, cops are coming to arrest me and my friends for trying to make America a better place to live. If you look down, you will see an email I got 2 days ago. Is this the kind of country you want to live in?
It has come to the attention of the Bureau of Morality's Internet Monitoring Task Force that several of the clients for whom you handle IT seem to show bandwidth lows that do not match their formally submitted audit numbers. Your replies have been either evasive or insufficient, or simply late. You may submit any information in the full confidence that it will remain anonymous. Perhaps your wife will start feeling better soon.
Talk about blackmailing. So the Bureau of Morality even has an internet monitoring task force. Everything is watched. On the rest of the website, you find pieces that you can move with your mouth, and put together, they form a login box. The password is already in, so you are allowed to log in. On that new page, you can read a discussion between scientists trying to send information to the past. They are hoping that it could change their present.
How far back does quantum computing go?
It really started to kick in about 15 years ago.
That's not far off our depth limit. What if 15 years is too recent to do any good?
15 years will do much more good than 15 nanoseconds.
I vote -15. I'm with Carolina. If this works, we have a lot to say.
So they're all the one who sent all those websites back to our time. I find it very cool to implement that in that way. Makes it feel like us, people from 2007, are really from the same world than this Year Zero. We don't just see it through a window, it's like it really happened. Though we kind of already know the end of this story. They did send the information back in time, but the team has been taken down by the administration. USB keys are directly handed out at London's concert, and these ones contain the music video of the song Survivalism. The video shows a bunch of CCTV screens of an apartment building, where we can see Nine Inch Nails perform the song in a room. We also see a group of resistance and a couple high on opal, among other things. While all that happens, we follow a SWAT team entering the building, smashing the door where the band plays, and drag someone out, presumably Trent Reznor. If you watch the video really closely, you can catch the numbers 24, 16, and 4. And being really hardcore, you decide to watch the whole clip frame by frame. And you notice that the last digit of the timecode sometimes locks into characters. First a T, then an H, then an E, then underscore, and all put together they formed the underscore turned to underscore. On the door the SWAT smashes, you also notice the inscription Rev 16:3-4, a reference to the Bible, which ends with,
"The third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of waters, and they became blood."
So the water turned to blood. According to the warning message at the top of the page, this was done by an inmate, number 4382BX12. He's described as a psychiatric patient, extremely dangerous and a hazard to society, from the Judson Ogram Correctional Facility, which is mentioned twice. There's a text at the top and one at the bottom of the page, and both have weird capitalizations of letters. You gather the uppercase letters at the top and the lowercase letters at the bottom, and they both give you Francesca. Looking closer at the page, you reveal a login box by clicking on the thumb of the presence, but neither Francesca or the inmate number work to log in. you're missing something. You need to look somewhere else. Judson Ogram seems like both a prison and a psychiatric center, and they intend to re-educate inmates. Let's see the stuff. Here, you learn about different teams of staff, and there is a mention of Cedocore that you don't know yet. Apparently, they work with the Bureau of Morality to develop a set of re-education protocols. At the bottom of the page, there is a login for which we need 3 pieces of information. We have a case number, the password could be Francesca, but we need a name. And there is one on this photo. Preston Gantry. You try that, and you get access to a patient's file.
During the red tide event, inmate was on the Zack and Bunker Hill Bridge.
Red tide event? So the water did turn to blood?
As a result of a multi-car accident, his car was pushed off the bridge into the river. While he was able to get out of the car himself, his attempts to get his daughter out of the back seat failed and she drowned. He claims that he was saved by the presence. He gives his name as John of Boston, and says that John Firminger was washed away in blood and reborn. It must be noted that the patient's aura of revelation could be disruptive. Within the first day of being transferred to Judson Ogram, 2 guards, an orderly, and a cafeteria worker approached JUCF staff with requests that the prisoner be released, given a private hearing with the warden, or allowed to speak to the inmate population. As of this writing, several hundred people have gathered outside the prison, calling for John's release.
At the top of the page, you find links to 3 other documents. A police report in which you learn that he was arrested for a gathering of more than 20 people and that the administration wanted to lock him up without trial. The Dr. Gantry didn't agree. In a press article, you learn that the water turned red is not an hallucination. Officially, it was caused by a rapidly multiplying algae due to the rise of temperature and fertilizer in the water. In the last document, we see that Dr. Gantry tried to save John, but John refused to be saved and was executed. This all ends with a link telling us that Dr. Gantry has also been put in custody, probably for trying to help an inmate. That's a sad, sad story, and reading that, you almost forgot about the password you need for the water turned to blood. What was the last password you found? It was a reference to the Bible, and the water turned to blood is a reference to the Bible, which is Rev 16:3-4. To try that, it's not it. This is John's website, and the only document where we have John talking is this one. Reading it again, a sentence kind of stands out.
Listen to me. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
So what if you Google that? Fucking hell. Let's try that. And it works. Here you'll find more of John of Boston talking.
As we spoiled Eden, we have spoiled this world.
This is again very in line with the previous experiences we heard of the presence.
You will see me tonight. You will be safe in your house. The soldiers will come for me. They will put the rope around my neck. Watching at home, you will shift in your chair, on your couch.
Looks like he knew the path he'd chosen would lead him to death, but he was hoping to send a message in the process. There was still this mention of Cedocore from Judson Ogram, which seemed like an important organization, so let's check where it leads. Cedocore is a pharmaceutical company. Here you learn that they are the makers of the Parapin, and they do work with the government with the Bureau of Homeland Security Health Management. You can even take a quiz to measure your level of anxiety and know if you need drug called Prozera. Spoiler, you either take drugs or go to jail. The release of the album Year Zero approaching, 9 Inch Nails released several things. The single Survivalism, a lyric PDF and a GarageBand project of the same song, and some listening parties to allow fans to pre-order the album. All those elements gave some info on the world of Year Zero, but because of the length of this video, I will have to talk only about the listening parties. If you pre-ordered your album at a listening party, you would receive a lithograph, this. And looking at it closely, you notice words written here. That seems to be the mailstrom. And that is how you find the mailstrom.com. You are welcomed with a login box for which you need a wreckage and a shard, which you don't have. Though, clicking on the logo in the back leads you there.
The US government controls the only data stream American citizens have access to. The encryption on the Consolidated stream is functionally unbreakable, yet some communications will get caught.
On this page, you learn that the purpose of the maelstrom is to decrypt some of this data, which would be mostly emails. That almost never works, but when it does, the maelstrom stores a wreckage and a shard. At the listening parties, fans were also given some buttons with words and codes written on the side. The goal was to get the right pair of wreckage and shard to access new emails, and there were a lot of them to discover. Among the notable ones, if you paired the hand of the angel with the scythe with the head of that angel, you would have this wreckage with this shard. And that would lead you to the confession of a soldier who probably took the same pills the angry sniper talked about.
I shot him. The thing is, I don't remember it. The pills shot him.
The soldier also mentions that he can't swallow, which would indicate the pills are in fact Emproprax, another drug by Cedocore. Difficulties to swallow are a side effect of Emproprax. Everyone who sent emails to previous websites received a warning in their inbox.
You have been identified as un-American. The Bureau of Morality has identified you as a consumer of dissident material. This is a one-time warning.
And when you respond to it, you get,
do not attempt to explain, deny, or justify your activities. Reason can be treason.
Okay, but they give you a new website to visit, so let's see.
Respect the letter of the law. Treason costs innocent lives. This is the price of treason.
This is a government website telling the story of several citizens and use them to illustrate their point. Those who resist the government will face heavy consequences. The second story stands out as it is one of a man called Cherno who created a website called Open Source Resistance to broadcast subversive content. Of course, long story short, he was executed. But the website was apparently created in -15 BA, so that's 2007, today's year.
Open source resistance is an attempt to bring together people who have a message and broadcast networks to get those messages out.
That website invites you to send some art of yours, of any form, or you can contact the webmaster if you have access to some sort of communication platform. And you can also subscribe to a mailing list by sending an email. If you do so, you also get a response.
There are more of us than there are of them. Let's make that count for something.
The second page is a collection of art they received, and the last page shows a painting found in London. And it's a painting that was actually installed in the real world. People who attended the concert of Nine Inch Nails in London were given yellow flyers with the address where to find this painting.
It was inspired by some scary shit on the web. There are a growing series of very disturbing URLs.
So that means the creator of Open Source Resistance saw the Year Zero just like you did, through the same website and through the same experience. This is the start of today's resistance. The album is not out yet, but still, someone seems to have a copy of it, and an auction is launched to sell it. On the photo of the back, you see a sticker from the Bureau of Morality saying to call a number to be an informer and report subversive acts. Upon calling the number, you hear this.
The message from the United States Bureau of Morality, pursuant to Statute 2412-2. By calling this number, you and your family are implicitly pleading guilty to the consumption of anti-American media and have been flagged as potential militants. You are now part of the problem. Your re-education is about to begin. God bless America.
A few days later, the album was bought and several things were found in it. First, the booklet mentioned a website called freerebelart.net. This is a resistance website asking people to gather.
When people join together, they become powerful. They cannot stop us all.
And there is a box to register, so you try and put your name and phone number, and you get a message.
The password is resistance. Please stand by.
A few seconds later, you receive a call. You hear an automated voice asking for the password, and upon saying resistance, you hear this.
You have pled guilty to treason under Federal Statute 24.21. You are now a threat. You should be aware that 58% of the people who receive this message will be without jobs or health care at the end of 1 year. 17% will be listed as dead or missing.
Fuck, it was a trap. You are now redirected to this page saying that you are now being watched.
Your person, vehicle, home, or place of work may be subject to invasive search.
And all your licenses are suspended.
Any children born without this license will be confiscated.
A few days later, it was discovered that the song The Great Destroyer contained a hidden message. It was revealed by mixing the left and the right channels into a monosignal, which gave you this. This led you to a top-secret file about a red horse virus.
Red horse subjects acquire a degree of homicidal psychosis that can blind the subject to his own pain and impending mortality. Upon inhalation, red horse patients begin to bleed out.
There's even a video where we can see the effect of the virus, and the name of the file contains a code. I don't know if I can show it on YouTube, but visually that looks a lot like the attacker of the Star Chamber, whose shirt was soaked in red. The Star Chamber being the nightclub that got cleaned with flamethrowers.
A vaccine development program has proven to be a qualified success, but has demonstrated several symptoms that cannot be countered without diminishing the efficacy of the vaccine.
Which makes you think of the orange tears of the agents. Were they some symptoms of a vaccine? The person who bought the album in the auction sent photos of the CD after listening to it. The CD, which was previously black, has now changed color thanks to a thermal coating, and it is now revealing a binary code. You don't know what to do with it, so you try to translate it, and converted to ASCII characters, that gave Exterminal.net. This website contains files of a federal detainment camp, where subversive terrorists are sent but rarely come back from.
It's where they disappear you if you think too hard, talk too loud, forget to drink the water, remember to be free.
You can read documents about different inmates, but the one that really gets your attention is the inmate listed as classified, whose folder contains an audio file called Exhibit A that apparently has something encoded in it. The audio recording is another song from the album called Capital G, but comparing it closely with the album version, you notice the phase of the waveform seems inverted. So you mix the two so the waveforms cancel each other out, and you're left with one bit where you can hear
wreckage is pain.
Wreckage seems like data for the maelstrom, but you don't have a shard to go with it. With no other lead, you try it anyways, and you get this message.
There is no data associated with that wreckage shard combination. Please try again.
With the weird capitalization, you take all the uppercases and you get HTDTNA. You try that as the shard and you gain access to a new email thread. This is between an ex-agent of the Bureau of Morality, Shearer B, and the creator of the forum Another Version of the Truth.
Did you know you were scheduled for a one-way ticket to Guam, Exterminal, in 3 days? But it's your lucky day. I have some information people should know.
I can see why we both want this out. My price, that dossier on me needs to go away.
Done.
And done.
And you get a new URL on the forum.
I'm going to make you work. This is page 0. Now find page 1. The answer will always have something to do with a word somewhere on the page you're reading. 1 is opposite.
Cool, that's a game. You need to find a word to go forward. You have work and opposite that are highlighted. So, what's the opposite of work? Is it play?
A cascade of memories, the harsh chemical tang of the Deacon team at the Star Chamber, the smell of 112 bodies 2 days dead.
So that's the agent who went to the Star Chamber after the massacre.
Step 1. Take a new gelled hydrogen power cell and swap it out for the old one in my machine.
For the next page, you need to find a word of 6 letters, alphabetically ordered. Glossy? This page is about the training she received. Physical training, discipline, enduring pain, handling guns, and tradecraft, which she describes as lying and detecting other people's lies.
Step 2. Puncture the oxygen line into the power cell and cover the hole with a piece of masking tape.
We are now looking for 4 numbers to multiply. We have 11, 4, 36, and 2. So that's 3168. This is an interesting page where you read about copper. This is the vaccine of the red horse virus. Among the side effects, you find orange spit and orange tears. There's also fear of open spaces and preference for dim lights. Apparently, every person in important position takes this vaccine, including agents like her. And on the next page, you learn that you can't really wean yourself off copper.
It turns out the copper rewires you pretty savagely, enough that withdrawal is fatal.
You have to look for a word using only letters between A and G. You find baggage. The next page relates the day of the Star Chamber incident. When she received the report, she ordered the place to be locked up, but was worried anyone could have left and spread the virus before the cops arrived. But there were no virus outbreak. The next clue is made up of 1 of one, 2 of another, and 3 of a third. The letters. The word tattoo is made up of 1 A, 2 O's, and 3 T's.
When you're on copper, it's hard to believe in miracles. Step 3. Affix a model rocket igniter and 10-second fuse to the masking tape.
Then she reflects on the events of the Star Chamber.
There are runners, because there are always runners. Nobody exposed to the virus tries to get out of there before the cops and EMTs arrive. Of course they do. The only way the equation makes sense is if the doors were locked before I ordered them locked. A terrorist wants a plague to spread, doesn't he? He doesn't want it contained. Would target a pack of college kids full of dissident ideals?
Clue is all the vowels, so you look for a word containing all the vowels and find equation.
Step 4. Wire the igniter to a key.
Here she says she found something, and there's a link to a document.
Internal security is authorized to expedite expiration. Name, Shara Bianca. Operative is unstable. In the last 48 hours, she has accessed information beyond her security clearance level. Recommend liquidation.
Okay, so she's been flagged and she knows it. For the next page, we have two highlighted words, swing and dashed. And the clue is past present. So the past tense of swing is swung and the present of dashed is dash. You Google swing dash and find that is the name of this symbol.
Say you wired the swung dash key. When it's hit, it will burn to the igniter, which will eat through the tape and ignite the gelled hydrogen inside. If someone is reading a very, very small font, their face is likely to be closer to the monitor when it blows up. You lived to betray. Tonight you die for it. Whatever happens to me, the word will get out. Meanwhile, I have all the copper from the dispensary downstairs, enough to last 3 months if I'm careful. I have a Glock 36 and everything you taught me. Catch me if you can.
If you subscribe to the mailing list of Open Source Resistance, you received an email.
This feels like the start of something real. Check out the piece near Melrose and Ogden in LA.
So, you have another real-life address to check out, but also...
A few of us are talking about organizing a meeting here in LA. If you're interested, show up at the Melrose location little after 7 p.m. on this Friday evening, April 13th.
You get ready to check out this meeting, you don't want to miss it. On Friday 13th, you go to the meeting joined by 50 to 100 people. You are directed to a van where they give you an ammo box. Some boxes have buttons, flyers and other goodies, but your box contains a phone with a set of instructions.
If you are 18 or over and will be in the Los Angeles area Wednesday, April 18th, we need you. This phone is your membership card to the Resistance. Keep it charged and keep it with you at all times.
Behind you is a painting similar to the one of London, and you find different inscriptions on it. Defending America, which doesn't lead to a new website, but One Country at a Time does. OneCountryAtAtime.net, which is a comic book story of an American soldier in Syria who got attacked by a sniper, witnessed the presence, and is finally shot by a member of his own unit. The album Year Zero is finally officially out, and several leads are found in the booklet. There were a couple of weird barcodes that were similar to a barcode found on a flyer given during the meeting in LA. When combined, they reveal the outline of Viability Index. This is a website to help you decide where to live, with a score given to different areas between 1 and 10. 1 having the more risk of natural disasters, war, heat or disease, and 10 still having some of the risks. There are descriptions for a lot of cities, and some of them even links to some websites that are not part of the Year Zero game. These link to real reports from the real world. Going through the booklet of the album, you notice that some letters are faintly red in the lyrics of the songs. Putting all the red characters together, they spell out pairs of numbers, and gathering all the pairs, you end up with this. You put this string in a hexadecimal to text converter, and you find this. By using it on the mailstrom, you find a company affiliated to Cedocore based in South Africa. There, they seem to test Cedocore's drug on humans,
and drug trials aren't regulated in South Africa, except by us, seeing as we will be the government there.
And they also manage some kind of organ traffic.
They let us option their kidneys, bone marrow, skin grafts. You only need 1 kidney and you can still work.
They even have a menu saying how much you will be paid for the donation of each organ. Still in the album booklet, you notice something in this photo. On the barrel of the rifle, you find another pair of wreckage and shot. This leads you to this article trying to find an explanation to what the presence is, which could be an epiphenomenon of consciousness, a meteorological event, or something else. And it's also noted that having the experience of seeing the presence often induces these themes. You get a call on the phone the Resistance gave you. They invite you to a new meeting on April 18th. Once there, you and all the participants are guided into a bus and transported to a location nearby. Some kind of warehouse. First, there was a speech by Neil Chernow, the creator of open source resistance.
Look, you've seen some scary websites about what the future might become. Me too. So let's start by saying you're not crazy and I'm not crazy and go from there. Is this the future? I don't know. I'm just asking you to stop and recognize what matters to you and make the same effort to actually change your world that other people do to vote on American Idol. All I want is this. Wake up and give a shit! Do your own thinking. Find out where you stand on things that matter to you. It's time to move.
You are then escorted to another room. It is dark. You can't see anything. And a private concert started for a very small crowd. It lasted a few songs. Then the concert got interrupted by a SWAT intervention. You run out of this place and run back home before getting busted. Nine Inch Nails share a last GarageBand project for the song Capital G. And yet again, a sample was spectrum analyzed and revealed a series of images. It was found that these images were avatar pictures of members of the forum Echoing the Sound, one of the most active forums during the game. Taking the first letter of each user's name, you got Exhibit 24. This will be our last stop. This is a page from the Bureau of Morality. More specifically, this is all the case file about the inmate classified. It appears that every code number we found so far were from this case file. 2411 is the mailstrom. 2421 is free rebel art, and even this very website has its own code, 24231. From this site, you can see some elements that hadn't been discovered yet, and going to the last page, you see two long lists of names as exhibits 24241 and 24242. These are usernames from the forums Echoing the Sound and Spiral, two of the most active during the game, though the last bit of information is on the third page. Exhibit 24164, surveillance footage detailing the capture of inmate classified. This is the Survivalism video, so inmate classified is Trent Reznor. All this time we've been browsing through the evidences of his criminal record. He ties all this together, which makes sense as he's the one who created the concept of Year Zero. He is the reason why we had access to all these websites. And that is a good reason for the Bureau of Morality to hold all these evidences and make him disappear.
Listen up. We think these phones have been compromised. We've got to go dark for a while, but that's okay. You don't need us anymore. It's up to you and your friends to carry the message. You have a voice. Use it. This is your time. This is your hour. The hour of arrival. Remember that. Don't give up. Don't give in. You are the resistance now.
I still have a couple of details to tackle before wrapping this up. This game was executed and put together by 42 Entertainment, and I enjoyed a lot making a video about it. I wanted to do it for a very long time, and that was kind of a big challenge because some of the sources were contradictory or simply didn't work. So I did my best to fill the blanks and tell the story, but some details still had to be left out for the sake of clarity. Like, I didn't tell you that most of the pages had hidden words in the background that reference different books. I didn't tell you about the pages Revisionism or Operation Swarm Zero, and I didn't tell you about parallels and references to real-world events. So if you want to get the complete full story with all the details, you can check the sources I've put in the description. I've described each of them so it's easier to navigate. I want to thank Pulsar Modular for sponsoring this video. Even though the subject has nothing to do with their product, they make high-quality plugins to use with any DAW for your music production. I've reviewed their Siren VST already, which is an excellent filter set with distortion, envelope follower, and a delay. You can make a lot of different things with it, and I was surprised with how good it sounded. I love the way it resonates. It's a good plugin made by good people. It's Pulsar Modular, you should check it out. Also, huge thanks to my Patreons for their support, even though I've been away quite some time to prepare this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you to you two who is still here watching. In my last video, I set up a vote to choose the next video I would do, and now that this one is out, the vote is over. The most voted was the sound design tutorial about advanced technique with distortion, so I will start working on it now. After that, I will probably make a couple of review videos that I'd like to make, so there will be another vote soon, but I'll do that maybe a bit later. And that's all for the update, so thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you next time.